Every time I watch a new AI instantly generate something that would have taken me days, I get this sudden cold knot right in my stomach. Honestly, have you felt that too?
Oh, absolutely. It's that quiet, shared unease we're all carrying around right now. That creeping feeling of, wait, are we being replaced? Today, we're not doing a standard software tutorial, and we're definitely not handing out quick tips to outsmart an algorithm. We really just want to open up this explainer to lean into that visceral anxiety and figure out what's actually underneath it all.
Right, and that brings us straight to the central question of today's explainer. Will humans lose their value in the AI era? It's a core inquiry from Tsutomu Yoshida, also known as Tommy Yoshida internationally, in his recent observational notes. Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is that Yoshida explored this from both Japanese and international perspectives. He deliberately looked at how different cultures process this massive existential threat because, let's be real, that panic you're feeling, it's entirely valid. But the framework we're using to understand it might just be completely wrong. So before we dive any deeper, we should probably set a quick ground rule. We are in the messy, chaotic middle of a huge paradigm shift.
Exactly. And whenever you're in the middle of a tech revolution like this, rushing to slap a definitive label on the future usually just leads to, well, terrible predictions.
So we're not going to rush to any neat conclusions today. Instead, we're doing something the modern world rarely allows. We're just going to sit with the ambiguity. We're embracing these unfinished thoughts together. This whole exploration really kicked off because of a pretty blunt article by a Tokyo University grad. They essentially claimed that people who only have knowledge are going to be the first ones cut.
Ouch. But functionally speaking, you kind of have to concede that they have a point. If your entire professional identity is built just on retaining and retrieving information, you're competing against an entity that has ingested almost the entirety of recorded human history. In a game of pure information retrieval, no question, the machine wins.
But here's the thing. When Yoshida read that article, he felt this profound dissonance. He noticed a seriously toxic linguistic leap. There's a massive, dangerous gap between the depreciation of a specific functional task and the depreciation of a human life.
Hit the nail on the head. Just because a machine can summarize a spreadsheet way faster than you doesn't mean you, the human being, are losing value. Conflating those two things is a total trap. It forces us to evaluate our own worth using entirely the wrong metrics.
So let's clearly separate what's actually going on here. On one side, you've got what AI is exceptionally good at: information retrieval, summarization, pumping out content. It is literally the ultimate processing engine. Right, and on the other side, you have what only humans can do. Things like sensing discrepancies, reading the deeper context of a situation, making nuanced judgments, and giving meaningful feedback. We're moving out of this era of pure information retention and stepping into a reality that demands profound, human contextual judgment.
Looking back at history is actually a fantastic antidote to this specific kind of panic. We've lived through multiple tech waves before. Think back to the 1970s. Pocket calculators became everywhere, and suddenly doing complex mental math lost its premium status.
Right. And then in the 1980s, word processors hit the scene, which meant having flawless handwriting was no longer a strict job requirement. We've always continuously offloaded mechanical tasks to tech. Generative AI is really just the latest, albeit highly sophisticated, version of us offloading a task.
Think about it like this. When GPS was invented, did the mapmaker lose their value as a human being?
Obviously not. Their specific functional task, hand-drawing routes, got digitized, but their role just transformed. They shifted toward interpreting geographical data or building even better navigation systems. A technological shift changes a person's role. It absolutely does not strip away their inherent human worth.
Okay, so if that's true, why does this time feel so incredibly existentially threatening to us?
Well, to understand that, we've got to look at the legacy of the Industrial Revolution and scientific management, what's often called Taylorism. For over a century, corporate structures have actively conditioned us to act like efficient, error-free biological machines. We've literally been trained to measure our self-worth against the cold, hard efficiency of the assembly line, or the server farm.
Which basically means we are being evicted from the domain of pure efficiency. Yes, and honestly, that is an incredibly liberating realization. When actual, non-biological hardware comes along that hits perfect efficiency without breaking a sweat, our conditioned response is to freak out. But the value of a human being was never actually in how well we could mimic a silicon processor. We're finally being released from a competition we were literally never meant to play. Let's look at how we've traditionally approached work for a second. The classic corporate framework is a super simple two-step sequence. Step 1 is problem discovery, and step 2 is problem solving. And right now, AI dominates step 2 with terrifying monster-level speed. You give an AI a clearly defined problem, and it will spit out 50 optimized solutions in seconds. But Yoshida points out a massive blind spot there. Before you ever even hit step 1, before a problem is clearly articulated, there's a hidden phase. He calls it the 0.5 step. I love this concept. That step is purely visceral. It's that faint, bodily sensation of discomfort. It's the moment you walk into a meeting and feel a slight chill in the room, or you read an email that is technically perfectly polite, but it makes your stomach knot up. It's sensing the offness before the problem is even defined. Now, you might be wondering, couldn't an AI just scan the data and figure out what's wrong? Well, no. I mean, AI is amazing at detecting statistical anomalies and logical bugs within a set of parameters, for sure. But it doesn't have a biological nervous system. It has absolutely no physical stake in the outcome. A human being can read the room. A human feels when the entire premise of a framework is just fundamentally out of touch with reality. AI analyzes the text, but the human actually feels the threat. And this brings up a really beautiful insight, particularly highlighted in the Japanese context of Yoshida's text, the power of the pause. There is this profound cultural wisdom in just pausing, to sit with a vague feeling of discrepancy.
Right. Instead of rushing to form some loud, perfectly clear argument, you just allow yourself to inhabit that unarticulated offness. That tiny, uncomfortable pause is actually the genesis of real human thought and progress.
But let's be real, the corporate world absolutely hates the pause. Modern business environments demand immediate output and rapid-fire solutions. They want to skip that messy 0.5 step entirely and just jump straight to the fix.
Exactly. And that is exactly why AI feels so threatening to the traditional corporate mindset. AI is the ultimate engine for immediate output. If your only goal is rapid generation without deep context, the machine is going to win every single time.
So let's contrast these two spaces for a minute. On the machine side, the metrics are all about speed, accuracy, and raw output. But on the human side, our shifting roles involve sensing context, feeling that crucial discomfort, and taking responsibility. We're transitioning from being raw generators of material to becoming deep editors of reality. We're the ones who have to look at that perfectly generated output and ask the tough question, does this actually serve us?
And that brings us to the ultimate human trump card, responsibility. Right, because an algorithm literally cannot take responsibility. It has no social contract, it has no moral compass, and no physical stake in what happens. If an AI generates a strategy that fails catastrophically, you can't fire the algorithm. It can't stand before a client, feel the crushing weight of a social failure, and genuinely apologize. Shouldering that moral and social weight, that is a burden that rests exclusively on flesh and blood humans.
This is why the words we use going forward are so absolutely crucial. We have to change our vocabulary. If we keep asking, are people losing value, we are just playing by the machine's rules. We need to shift that question to, how are human roles being transformed? By changing our words, we shift our anxiety into curiosity. We stop seeing this as some hopeless competition and start recognizing it as an ongoing, fascinating evolution of what it actually means to work. So the next time you feel unsettled by a rapid technological change or some flawless AI output, remember this. Your discomfort is the actual proof of your value. The fact that you feel a knot in your stomach means your deeply human, analog mechanisms are working perfectly. You are sensing a shift in the current, doing something a machine fundamentally cannot do. As we wrap up this explainer today, we want to leave you with a lingering question to chew on. We are so busy trying to outproduce machines, just packing our schedules to maximize efficiency. But in doing so, are we deleting the very thing that makes us essential? Did you leave room in your day for the 0.5 step? Did you leave a gap, a pause, a moment to just sit by the window and feel the unarticulated context of the world around you? Keep feeling the discomfort, folks. It's the most human thing you can do.